only your business will improve, but what I like to call, and the great John C. Maxwell calls, your leadership lid will start to get higher and start to get bigger. And as your leadership lid becomes higher and bigger, you have the ability to impact more people. And so I never wanted that to change. And Terry said, that doesn't have to change. You can do everything you did as a distributor, but now you're not only going to lead your organization, you're going to lead the entire organization. And that's exactly what I need you to do, because you're the only one who truly understands what it's like to be a distributor in this business, what it's like to build a business to the level of Diamond, what it's like, as many of you, to build a business that did that, but then did that, and then started to do that. You understand. And you also understand me, you understand my infrastructure, you understand my incubator model and how I've, built this over the last 17 years. Because when we started that company with Terry in 2006, Rachel, it was his dream and his vision to build exactly what he has today, to where an opportunity would come where he could take a company that was still, I like to use the analogy, I don't know if Yvonne is on here, but, we were in Taiwan a week and a half ago with Mark and Ilya and the entire team there of Greater China. And I know a lot of people from APAC actually, attended that event, and it was awesome. It was powerful. There were almost 1,000 people there. And Yvonne used the analogy of the building down the street from where we were meeting, which is called the 101. And it's called the 101 in Taipei because it has 101 floors. And 10 years ago, that was the tallest building in the entire world. And Yvonne used the analogy, she said, Jeunesse went straight to the top. They went straight to the 101, the $1 billion a year in 6 years, and then sustaining that for 4.5, 5 more years. And it fell a little bit, but it only really fell to maybe the 50th floor of that building. But you're still 50 floors above everybody else that's starting. You're still 50 floors above everybody else that's trying to figure out the banks and figure out the river and figure out the foundation and figure out the right comp plan that's going to sustain and work and figure out all the things you need to go through to build a business, which in my experience in 32 years in this industry, Rachel, takes about 4 years to do. It takes you about 4 years to really figure everything out. And 99% of the companies, they never get to floor 5, even after those 4 years. Jeunesse got to 101. It may have fallen a little bit and at 50, but boy, are we still years ahead of everybody else that's out there. And so I saw that. I saw the perfect partnership with Terry. I saw somebody who I trusted, not only with my wife and my children and my family, but also my future and my business and my life. Because what I've learned about him, he's a man of his word. He is a do-right person. What you see is definitely what you get. He is not about over-promising and under-delivering. He is not your typical, network marketer where, everything is great all the time. He's going to tell you the truth. And that's something I've learned from him. And something you will always get from me is you will get the truth. Exactly where we came from, exactly where we are, and exactly where I believe that we are going. So to answer your question, why did I step out of the field? I was a distributor 8 weeks ago, Rachel, and I love being a distributor. But the last 8 weeks have been an incredible learning journey for me, but it's lifted me into this level of leadership where I feel now that I can take everything I learned in 32 years. I can couple that and partner that with everything that Terry has learned in the last 30 plus years. We're literally exactly the same age, been in the industry exactly the same time in a lot of different ways, and put that together and create a partnership where I believe that the future is extremely bright and we still have a lot of work to do. But I'll tell you what I've learned in network marketing. It always took me longer than I thought it would. It was always harder than I thought it would be, but it was always better than I ever dreamed it could be if I was willing to put in the time and I was willing to put in the work to make it happen, because nothing great happens overnight. Everything great that happens uphill. Everything. Nothing great happens downhill. You don't learn anything downhill. You don't succeed while you're going downhill and you're riding the ride. You succeed when you learn, and you learn how to go uphill. And the higher the climb, the better the view. And we're halfway there, but we're going to get there again. This time, though, we're going to have the banks to be able to withstand the river so that you have a long-term business that's actually going to last what I believe is your lifetime and your children's lifetime as well, which ultimately has always been my goal in network marketing and is my vision and my goal with Jeunesse. So, Rachel, I hope that answered your question. I know it was a little bit long-winded.
No.
Again, I'm still a distributor at heart, so please forgive me.
No, that absolutely amazing. And you are exactly true that, the climb, is always harder. It takes longer, but the view from the top is always very, very worth it. So, Jason, take us on a little bit of a journey of what the last 8 weeks have actually entailed. We know 8 weeks is a very, very short time, but there has been so much happening behind the scenes. Can you share a little bit of that with us?
I can. That's a great question. So it's definitely been a whirlwind. It's been 8 weeks of 20-hour days, 4 hours of sleep a night. So if I look tired, it's because I probably am. I'm learning to take a few hours a week and just pass out and do nothing, which is hard for me because I feel like we're on a mission. And this is not a job for me. This is not a corporate title. I'm not hung up on any of that. I am on a mission. And here's what I found over the last 8 weeks. Okay. I'll take you back to Hawaii. And some people find this funny. I don't, but it's just what came to my head when it happened. Terry asked me, he asked me the positive of what was good about the people that were there. He goes, well, and how bad is it, do you think, from a corporate level? How bad is it, as far as, people who have left and people that are trying to pull us down and people that are, saying this won't work. And I just started to sing the song. I don't know if you guys have heard this, I've seen the movie, The Titanic. But I just, speaking of that, that's a big lightning bolt, not an iceberg. I just started singing the song, every night in my dream, I see you, I feel you. So I in my mind came a picture, Rachel, in the movie where the boat, the Titanic, was about halfway in the water. Okay, and you had the guys playing the violins, on the side, and literally the boat was sinking. So I said, Terry, it's the Titanic. It's so big, and half of it is literally in the water. Remember the 101, right? 50 of the floors are underwater. But Terry, there's also still half the boat that's out of the water. And I believe that half of the boat is worth saving. And he said to me on FaceTime, he says, look, he says, there's two ways to look at it. You can look at it as half that boat's underwater, or you can look at it, half that boat is still above the water, and we've got the strength and the knowledge and the wisdom and the experience to pull it out. And we have the right people to help us pull it out. I said, that's what we're going to do. We're going to pull it out. So I came home, we hit the ground running, we acquired the company, he appointed me CEO, we put an incredible team around us of people like you, Rachel, to take us to that next level, who had the experience. But even more than the experience, you had the hunger. You had the hunger to want to do something great. And that is the people that we are looking for, both as distributors and on the corporate side to build the banks. People that were still hungry, people that still believe, people that still, had the vision that the future can be better than today. And we can learn from the past and springboard that to the future. So we went to work. And we've basically, I got on 100 and I don't know how many, 20 or 30 Zooms with, literally every diamond in the entire company. I think we have 150 plus diamonds across the world. I got on with all of the general managers, with all of the employees across the world, and basically said, okay, we know that there's still holes in this boat. We're going to get the boat level. We're going to get it, where it is still floating again, but we know there's holes. How do we plug the holes first? How do we keep it from sinking? And we started to do that. We started to fix, product issues. We started to fix vendor relationships. I can tell you, I just got off with Terry before this. We have satisfied over $25 million in money that we owed vendors, and the vendors are the people that actually make our products. And so there were product shortages because, quite frankly, before we got here, the vendors were not being paid. The money was not being managed correctly. Vendors weren't being paid. So the first thing we figured was we have to pay the vendors. We got to pay the people that make the product so that we can get the product to you faster. We can get it to you better. Logistically, we can do better that way. So we took care of about 99% of those challenges. And I'm happy to say the boat is now floating on the water. It is moving, and we've plugged that hole. We had to go back and we had to look at, trips that people had won, things that people were promised. Promotions that people had won, promotions that people were promised, and start to figure out cash flow wise, how do we go make right all of those things that people were promised? And so Terry and I vowed, and anybody that had anything to do with acquiring this company vowed, that every trip would be taken, every promotion would be paid, every promise that was made that we can somehow document is going to be fulfilled before we take a penny out of this company. When we start to become profitable and we start to actually have money that we can spend on all of these things, that's what we're going to do. That may take a year, it may take 2 years, it may take 5 years. But for everybody that's still around, we are going to make right the wrongs of the past the best that we know how. So we've been doing that. We are working. Another big project was, as we heard you and we saw you and we felt you. And again, I'm a distributor. I get it. The comp plan, the 300 rule, and the constraints that were put on your ability to build the business, we started to change that. And hopefully that's been a welcome change. For a couple of weeks now, all brand new people, Rachel, that are getting involved in the business can build the same comp plan that all of you got involved in dating back to 9/9 of 2009. So new people, you have the same comp plan that you had. We're now working on moving that up and moving to maybe the jade level or pearl level, where we can continue to move that up through the ranks to where you can build the same comp plan that you had again. So we're working vigorously again to make that happen. Running different models. Still about 2 hours of my day is being spent with programming, trying to figure out, okay, it's a balance, okay? If you were a part of the comp plan from 2009, a comp plan that when your growth is accelerating and moving like a hockey stick is an incredible comp plan that can pay 100% of the money 100% of the time. The challenge is when you have a comp plan like the one that we had and your growth slows down, you can no longer sustain the same comp plan that you had. So what we're trying to do is figure out, how do we stay relevant with every other company that's out there in the network marketing world? How do we have a comp plan that is both attractive, that pays people up front, that pays what some people like to call the small potato or the little guy or little girl, all the way up to the big networker that you're trying to bring into the business? And again, I know all about those because I was one of those. I was once a small potato. I was once a little guy or little girl. I built organizations of hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people across the world. I became one of those, big people. Not that I was ever a big person. I always had a lot of great people below me, had a lot of great people above me, had a lot of incredible people building the banks around me. But with that being said, we also want a comp plan that's sustainable, that you can build, that doesn't change, that you can continue to be paid on for a long time. There's a lot of deals popping up out there. There's 2 big deals where people from Jeunesse went and they started new deals. Well, they are claiming they have a much better comp plan. And for the next 90 days, they do. They're claiming they've got all this sizzle and all this pizzazz. And for the next 90 days, they do, because they're brand new. And they're using investors' money to fund the comp plan. It's not based on sales. They don't have any sales. So it's based on taking money from over here to pay people from over here, but it's not a sustainable model long-term. We've proven that. Again, we got to the 50th floor. We know what's going to work long-term. So if your goal on this phone is how much money can I make in the next 90 days, and I'm not concerned about my reputation, I'm not concerned about my people and my friends and my family, about putting them into a business or a deal that's going to be around or not, then I would say, go do one of these crypto deals. Go do one of these deals that's brand new. The chances of a brand new company succeeding that starts today are about 99% that it will fail within the first 2 years. So if you want to be looking again in the next 2 years, then fine. We welcome you to go do that. We want to do what's best for you. But if you want a company where you don't ask how much can I get paid short term, but how much can I get paid long term and how long I can get paid, I think you're in the right place. Because again, I think we've learned from the past, and I think we can move forward and actually create a comp plan that's real, that's going to continue to pay you. So we're working on that. We're working on a number of other things that we have been over the last 8 weeks to try to get the business right to where you feel like you are in a new business, where you feel that this partnership is going to add value to your business and add value to your life. You can hear all day long, now we have the banks, okay? Bring the river. Now we have the banks to hold your river, all right? But what's different? What am I feeling that's different? Products, you're going to feel. Comp plan, you are going to feel, okay? Moving forward, you are going to feel a new culture. You're going to feel different when you come to our events. You're going to feel different when you're on Zooms. You're going to have a feeling that we are turning into, and again, we're not there yet, but we're turning into a distributor first company. And for those of you that have been around for a while, I did not ever feel, and this was no knock on the founders or anybody else, okay? People have their way of doing things. In no way did I ever feel that we were a distributor first company. I felt like all the decisions that were made came from corporate, they came from headquarters, and they were made sometimes without the best interests of distributors in certain regions. And we want to change that. Now, have we been perfect at that so far? No. Will we get better? Yes. Do I understand how to get better? You bet. But we had to plug the holes in the boat to get to where we are right now, to get to the point where we can start to help you feel that. Comp plan, products, new products. How many of you out there want a new product story? I can't see you raise your hand, but I do, okay? I know Rachel does. So we were able to, just like the vendors over the last 8 weeks, we were able to secure our relationship again with Dr. Giampapa and with Dr. Nathan Newman. A lot of you have asked about Dr. Christian. We are still in negotiations with Christian to try to figure out if we can have a relationship moving forward, which is Revita Blue. And again, he's a great guy. He's a great doctor, and he's been fantastic. They've all been fantastic. But just like the vendors, because of cash flow situations and management of money, they didn't get paid. And so they went and started to promote things for other companies because they weren't getting paid. But we've got Dr. Giampapa, we've got Dr. Newman, and they are right now working on 2 products, and they're actually working on the products together. So they're not just going to be the skincare from Newman and the nutraceuticals from Giampapa. They're going to come together with the best of both worlds and put together a skincare line. I don't know what it's going to be called yet, but it's going to be Luminesce on steroids. It's going to be something that's even better that he's been working on for 10 years. And then from a Nutra standpoint, we have some technologies, and there's a big difference between patented ingredients and patented technologies that nobody else can use. We have the ability now with Terry to be able to put some of those technologies that are surrounded by patents that nobody else can compete with us into these products. And so we're very excited about that as well. And we've been doing a lot of work for the last 8 weeks on that as well, Rachel. But, I feel like the last 8 weeks have been a whirlwind, but I feel like we are laying the foundational blocks to be able to build that building again. And, if you, like me, understand building a house, which I've had the opportunity to do, the foundation is the most important part of that house. It takes the longest to build. It's worked on every day, whether it's raining, snowing, sleeting, or sunshine. You got to dig a big hole if you want to build a big building. And nobody asks when they walk into the 101 about the foundation of the 101. Nobody asks when they walk into your beautiful home about the foundation of your home. But that's the most important part of the house. That's what we are rebuilding. And I think we're at a point now where we can start to actually build the rest of the house. And you're going to start feeling that over the next 8 weeks of being involved in the business. So Rachel, I hope that answered your question.
Absolutely. For me, I've been in Jeunesse now for 9 years, and what I have seen over the last 8 weeks is complete honesty, complete transparency, and really empowering people to make their own decisions, but those decisions really being focused on our distributors. And I feel that is really going to be what propels us first. So I'm really excited, of what's happened over the last 8 weeks. But what I'm most excited for, Jason, is what is yet to come. What can you share with us a little bit of your vision for Jeunesse moving forward?
I sure can, and great question. I envisioned this company when I got involved, all right, as what they were promoting at the time. And that is a legacy company, what does that mean? That term is thrown around a lot in network marketing, but there are very few legacy companies that literally, go from generation to generation, from family to family. And I had the opportunity, and I think sometimes history is a very important lesson to learn from, to grow from, to move on from. My dad used to say all the time, who's my original mentor in life, he used to say, son, the best way to walk through a minefield is to follow someone. And some of you will catch that later. I don't know if it'll translate, but when you're walking through a minefield, it's good to know that somebody went before you so you can learn from their experience to where you don't necessarily have to, have all the failures that they did. And you can work smarter and not harder. And I'll bring you back, and I think this is important to the future because it has a lot to do with the way that I see this business going. And it's a personal experience that I had in my first network marketing company, where I signed up just like all of you that are watching or listening. A guy came to my little one-room apartment. It was one room. I joke I could sit on the toilet, answer the back door, and cook dinner all at the same time. It was one room. It was a room. And I shared it with 2 roommates. That's how broke we were. We didn't have any money. And he came and he drew a bunch of blue circles on a whiteboard. And he told me that if I would fill those circles with my friends, their friends, the people that I knew, the people that I would come to know, if I would just fill those circles up with those people, that I could build a business where the sun would never sleep on that business, where I could go to sleep in the United States of America, and Australia, Rachel would be waking up and she would be building a business while I was asleep, and I would have the opportunity to be paid on that business. And I believed everything that guy said that day. I saw circles on my ceiling. I went outside, I saw them in the sky. And I have seen those circles, Rachel, for the last 32 years every day, and never lost belief that that was the vision. The vision was to get a big dream and to have a business that had great products that you could share with people, that had an opportunity that could change financially the way that you live your life and the lives of so many. And the ability then to instill that belief, instill that dream in other people. And that could literally, like a ripple in a huge body of water, could just literally spread across the world. And I think because I believe that, I was able to do that. And I went out and I sponsored, I talked to everybody that I could possibly, I mean, we used to joke, if I put a mirror in front of your face and it fogged up, you were going to see this business. You were going to hear about my products. And for me in the beginning, Rachel, it wasn't about me sharing it. It was about a mentor and an upline who would share it for me. I was just the messenger. I wasn't even the message. But I put it in front of enough people in a short period of time that those 50 people that said yes, ultimately 40 of them quit before the ink dried on the application. We didn't know you weren't supposed to serve beer at the meetings. We did, and not proud of that, but we did. And people left and they really didn't know what they were in. You hold the pen, I'll move the application. We'll sign you up tonight. But so 40 of them went bye-bye. 10 of them stuck around for a little while. 4 of the 10 eventually, went off and I never saw them again. 4 of them became really good customers. They bought the product. But 4 of those 50 people turned into rock stars. And those 4 people led to 55,000 people all over the world in 13 countries in the next 3.5 years. And that business that I got involved in, when I got involved in 1991, some of you were not born, that tells you how old I am, it was $1 billion company. The next year, it went from 1 billion to 2 billion in 1 year, all because of me. Okay. It had nothing to do with me. But the next year it went from 2 billion to 3 billion, 3 billion to 4 billion. And then in 1995, that company went from $4 billion to $7.5 billion in global revenue. That's in 1995. Now, you watch Jeunesse, think of the parallels. 2009, it starts, 2010, 2011, 2012. Then it starts growing monumentally by hundreds of millions of dollars a year. 2015, I guess, 16, $1 billion. And then it goes from a billion to 1.1 to 1.2, 1.3, 1.5. Okay, then it stopped. This company that I was involved in went from 4 billion to $7.5 billion, $3.5 billion in 1 year. And then it stopped. Why did it stop? Because it grew too fast to where the legs underneath it could grow to be strong enough to hold the weight. And it collapsed. Same thing happened with Jeunesse. So I watched this company and I looked at it and it fell apart. And I'm like, what a disaster. And out of that company, 1,000 network marketing companies started within the next 3 years. 1,000 of top distributors, top employees, top managers, top whoever left, and they went and started 1,000 different companies. And out of those 1,000 companies, ask me how many are left today. Take a guess. Put it in the chat. How many are left? 0. Goose egg. None. I left. I went and jumped in one of those stupid companies. Okay. I left my people because I didn't know it was the first time I had ever done this. The grass was always greener on the other side of the fence. But here's what I learned, and here's what I watched. That company got new leadership. It brought in new banks. The founders retired. They brought in a whole new executive team. Okay, sound familiar? They rebuilt the banks to withstand not a $7 billion river. They went to 2 billion, back to 3 billion, to 4 to 5 to 6 to 7. They're right back where they were. But they built the banks to withstand a 8 billion, 9 billion, 10 billion, 11 billion, 12 billion, 13 billion, $14 billion business. And the people that stayed, they didn't get rich. They got wealthy. The executives that stayed are set for life because they gave them profit sharing. They gave them stock options. They gave them, as they figured it out, just as we are doing, they gave them an upside that if the business grew, they too, just like distributors, would have an incredible future. That company today is the largest network marketing company on planet Earth, and there's really not even a close second with what they've built. And I witnessed, I watched. I saw it from being in the middle of it. I then watched it from the outside. I dove back into that company and was able to revive my distributorship and watch it grow again. Ended up selling that distributorship. But my point is, Jeunesse is in the same boat. We're in the same valley that they were in. The reason they were able to do what they did is they had the experience and they had the wisdom, and they knew that everything great, every great company was going to have to rise again out of a valley somehow, somewhere. It's not just all the way to the top immediately for any company. Everybody goes through it. And so when you ask what my vision is for this company, my vision is to do the same thing. And we are on track, Rachel, to do the exact same thing, because here's what we have. We have a group of people. We have hundreds of people on this Zoom here tonight who still believe in the heart. They believe in the mission. They believe in the vision. They believe in the products. They believe in their history. They don't want to throw away the last, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3 years of their life. They want to build on that foundation. And because we have that, and we have people that have the hunger, we now have the perfect partner in Terry to build those $15 billion banks. And I don't know if you've heard this, but I've watched it happen in my life in this business. It happened inside of Jeunesse. It happened to us. A rising tide lifts all boats. But at some point, you've got to burn those boats. And what we've done is we've burned those boats. And for those of you that don't know the story of burning your boats, it's a story that I learned when I first got involved in network marketing. It's a story of the Aztecs on the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico. And these group of explorers and conquistadors had gone for hundreds of years to try and get this treasure from these Aztecs that was worth billions of dollars in today's dollars. It was diamonds and rubies and pearls and gold and silver, and nobody in hundreds of years had been able to go and take this treasure. But this guy, Hernando Cortez, put a group of people together, and they came from the other side of the world, and they came on 11 different boats, and they had 100 horses, and they had over 1,000 soldiers, and they were going to come in and they were going to take this treasure. And as they went through across the world, they ran into a lot of challenges. Some of their boats sunk, and a scurvy outbreak. A lot of people died, and people were not so fired up anymore about getting there. And once they got to the island, he pulled them all together, the ones that were left, and he says, now we're going to take the treasure. And they said, how? He said, burn your boats, burn your ships. The only way we're going back home is in their boats and in their ships. So they burned their boats. And they were going to fight and win, or they were going to die. There was no other choice. And so as legend goes and as history goes, they took the treasure. They got this treasure that had not been taken in hundreds of years. And they went back because they burned the back door shut. There was no contingency plan. There was no going back. And I feel like for us at this point, there is no going back. And for those of you, a lot of you, who are here tonight, there is no going back. You've burned it. You've burned it with your friends and your family, and you've told everybody, this is what I'm going to do. And if we come together and we build the proper banks, and we give you a comp plan you can build, we give you innovative products that you can sell, we give you an opportunity that is not going to fall apart, but is only going to get better and stronger as we grow, then we can do what my initial company did. And we can bring it back to $1 billion to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5, and watch that rising tide lift all of the boats that you now have back in the water. They're boats, because you burned your boats, and now you are in the boats that are going to take you to the next level of your life. So that's my vision, Rachel. We are in it for the long haul. We are here to stay, and we appreciate all the belief, all the patience, and understanding that we are going through a transition. But hopefully you see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's not a train on the other end. It's actually some positive news and an incredible life for those that choose to go along the road with us. So with that being said, again, I hope that answered your third question, and I will turn it back over to you.
Absolutely. And look, I am incredibly excited about that vision. And I know each and every one of our distributors on the call are as excited as we are. They are here for the rebuild. They are here for the long haul. And, I'm incredibly excited to be a part of it. So with that, Jason, that was my last question. I thank you very much for taking the time to be with us tonight. I know the Asia Pacific family have had an absolute pleasure hearing from you. So thank you once again. And thank you to each and every one of you for being on the call. And we'll look forward to seeing you somewhere else in the Jeunesse world. Thanks, guys.
Got it. Thanks, everybody. Have a great morning, I guess.